New here at 6 o'clock, we now know when the federal lawsuit against Rockstar Cheer will go to trial. The plaintiffs are former cheerleaders who say some of their coaches at the gym sexually assaulted them.
A date has been set for next spring. Fox Carolina's Grace Runkle live in studio with us now with what else is coming up.
Well, several John and Jane Does filed this lawsuit about a year ago, and they argue their cheer gym, Rockstar, and the group supposed to govern competitive cheer were negligent, allowing coaches to give them drugs and alcohol and in some cases even assault them. Here's what's ahead. The plaintiffs must have their witness list finalized by December 4th. Discovery is due at the beginning of February, so that means both sides must be done exchanging information at that point. Then pretrial motions are due February 16th, and pretrial disclosures have to be filed by April 1st. That's when both sides share the evidence they'll be presenting during the trial. Jury selection is scheduled to begin a month later on May 1st. Now, there's another similar lawsuit filed against Rockstar Cheer in Greenville County. So far, a date has not been set for a trial, but a motions hearing is scheduled for next week. Live in the studio, Grace Runkle, Fox Carolina News.